The film starts in Bruges, Belgium, where two Irish assassins, Ray and Ken, are touring the city. Ken finds Bruges charming, but Ray loathes it. They're there to lay low after a botched job in London while awaiting further orders from their boss, Harry. Confused about how long they'll stay, Ray is annoyed at the idea of being stuck there for 2 weeks, especially during Christmas, with only one room to share. From the beginning, Ken subtly mentions the incident in London, prompting Ray to withdraw and cry, overwhelmed by their predicament. Ray grumbles about being sent to Bruges instead of a place like the Bahamas. Ken proposes they start sightseeing by climbing a city tower, but Ray declines, clearly upset. Ken goes alone but is annoyed when he's short a coin for the €5 entrance fee, and the cashier refuses to let it go. Begrudgingly, Ken breaks a €50 bill to pay the fee. At the tower's summit, Ken enjoys the view and sees Ray below, mimicking a gun gesture at him, alluding to their profession as hitmen. In the square below, Ray is approached by a large American family inquiring if he's climbed the tower. Ray rudely refuses and implies they shouldn't due to their size. After a tense moment, Ray bluntly calls them bleeping elephants, prompting the father to chase him in vain. The family, insulted, decides to climb the tower anyway, only to be unwittingly warned by Ken about the narrow stairs, which leads to more insults. Ray acts innocent when Ken meets the upset family. Later that night, Ray and Ken stumble upon a film shoot in Bruges that captivates Ray because it features a dwarf actor, which he finds amusing. Seeing Chloe, Ray is instantly taken with her, mistakenly assuming she's a celebrity. Meanwhile, while Ken goes back to check for messages from their boss, Harry, Ray sneaks onto the set and flirts with Chloe. She corrects him, stating that dwarves is the preferred term. Ray then meets a dwarf actor named Jimmy and openly displays his fascination. After a conversation, Ray asks Chloe out, and she gives him her business card, leaving Ray excited. Back at the hotel, Ken finds a note from their boss, Harry, left by the pregnant hotel owner. Harry is furious that they missed his call, using harsh language in the message. Ken, feeling sheepish, decides to sleep. Ray returns to the hotel, loudly and eagerly wanting to talk about his evening and upcoming date with Chloe. Though Ken is tired and wants to sleep, he listens to Ray and tells him about Harry's call. Ken agrees to wait for another call from Harry so Ray can go on his date, on the condition that they go sightseeing together. The interaction highlights Ken's fatherly affection for Ray, even though they don't openly express it. The next day, Ken and Ray visit an ancient church. Ken explains its historical significance and suggests that touching part of the church might feel like touching the divine, hinting that it could be a chance for Ray to seek redemption for past wrongs. However, Ray seems uninterested and walks out, leaving Ken disappointed. Outside, Ray sees Jimmy across the street, waves excitedly, but Jimmy ignores him, which frustrates Ray. In a flashback to an incident in London, Ray, during confession, admits to a priest that he's a hitman who kills for money. Shockingly, he then says you to the priest and shoots him. As the priest falls, it's revealed that a young boy, innocently praying, was also hit and killed by one of Ray's bullets. The boy had pure intentions, as noted in a letter, and his tragic death marks a haunting mistake for Ray. This serious mistake is the reason Harry sent Ray and Ken to Bruges, and it fills Ray with deep regret and sadness. During dinner, Ray and Chloe have an unexpectedly honest conversation. Ray admits he's a hitman, and Chloe confesses she sells drugs to film crews. Neither is troubled by the other's illegal profession. Ray shows a lack of sensitivity by insulting Bruges, Chloe's hometown, and making a rude joke about Belgium. Instead of taking offense, Chloe responds with the same bluntness. When Chloe goes to the bathroom, a nearby diner, already annoyed by her smoking, comments on how unbelievable she is. Ray confronts the diner, pointing out they are in a smoking area. The situation escalates, involving politics and stereotypes, leading to Ray physically confronting the man and his girlfriend. When Chloe returns and sees the chaos, they leave the restaurant together. Ray worries that Chloe will dislike him for the violence, but she kisses him, showing interest, before making a phone call that hints at future relevance. At Chloe's apartment, as they are about to get intimate, her boyfriend Eric surprises them with a gun, revealing their plan to rob tourists. Ray is more annoyed by the interruption than the threat. He learns that Chloe had no intention of robbing him, showing her feelings for him. Ray swiftly disarms Eric, discovering the gun only has blanks. He fires a blank at Eric's eye, causing pain but no serious injury. Eric's reaction is more pathetic than menacing. Chloe, still interested in Ray despite his involvement in a tragic incident, takes Eric to the hospital and subtly urges Ray to call her. Meanwhile, Harry calls Ken to check on Ray's whereabouts. Ken lies, claiming Ray is in the bathroom to cover up Ray's actual whereabouts, which is on a date. As Harry starts asking specific questions, their conversation shifts to the topic of Bruges. Ken, pretending Ray is present, fakes a conversation where he claims Ray finds Bruges enchanting, which seems to satisfy Harry. However, Harry has a dark undercurrent to his inquiries. He subtly hints at a sinister plan for Ray, stemming from the accidental death of a boy that Ray caused. Harry reveals that before the consequences hit, he wants Ray to experience something beautiful one last time. Then, Harry orders Ken to kill Ray, making arrangements for Ken to pick up a gun in Bruges to carry out the deed. Ken feels torn, aware of Ray's deep remorse and potential for change. Disturbed by these orders, Ken seeks solace by drinking Belgian beers at a local bar. There, he meets Jimmy and a prostitute. During their conversation, Ken learns Jimmy is American and the two engage in light banter. Ray eventually joins them, seeking answers from Jimmy about a previous incident, which Jimmy attributes to drug use. The group, including two prostitutes, end up in Jimmy's hotel room. The situation intensifies when Jimmy starts ranting about a racial apocalypse, provoking Ken. In response, Ken reveals he had a black wife who was murdered, highlighting his disdain for Jimmy's racist views. This incident paints Ken as a compassionate yet troubled individual. The evening concludes with Ken and Ray returning to their hotel, attempting to distance themselves from the disturbing discussion. Despite the turmoil, Ken collects the gun needed to fulfill Harry's orders. Moments later, he receives some awkwardly humorous advice from a quirky contact about selecting a secluded spot in the park for the murder. Irritated, Ken heads to the apartment where he discovers from the hotel owner about Ray's strange conduct and his kind act before going to the park, seemingly to take his own life. After finding Ray's suicide note, Ken rushes to the park and finds Ray on the brink of suicide. Ken prepares to shoot Ray from behind, while Ray points his own gun at his head, consumed by hopelessness. Upon witnessing Ray about to kill himself, Ken steps in, leading to a tense moment where Ray realizes Ken was also ready to end his life. They face the seriousness of their actions, and it's clear Ken can't bring himself to kill Ray or let him die by suicide. Ken urges Ray to leave Bruges and start fresh, hinting at redemption through saving someone else. He reveals Harry's plan for Ray's final days, bitterly ironic in a city Ray detests. Realizing the risk Ken is taking by sparing him, Ray is emotionally affected. Ken gives back the €200 to Ray, disarms him to prevent any further suicide attempt, and ensures he boards a train to safety. As Ray's train leaves, Ken decides to face Harry at the hotel, informing him about his decision to disobey. Ken proposes they meet in the square, expecting Harry's retribution. On the train, Ray thinks he's escaping Bruges until a steward accuses him of an alleged assault from the previous night, led by a disgruntled Canadian diner, not an American. Identified as the attacker, Ray is removed from the train and lands back in jail in Bruges. Chloe pays for Ray's release, and they enjoy a beer in the city center, unaware of Harry's arrival from London to confront Ken. Harry visits his gun contact, Eric's uncle, and finds Eric there, now permanently blind from a previous incident with a blank shot. Harry blames Eric for his poor situation, arguing it was caused by Eric's reckless behavior. Ray and Chloe are having a good time at an outdoor cafe when Jimmy, a dwarf actor, invites them to a movie set. They decline the invite, laughing at Jimmy's outfit. In the square, Harry finds Ken, who accepts his fate and suggests they head to the tower. They walk by Ray and Chloe without noticing them. At the tower, the guard/cashier denies them entry because of a recent event. Harry asks for a favor, but the guard firmly refuses. Expecting Harry's reaction, Ken steps aside as Harry violently attacks the guard. On the tower's top, Harry and Ken admire the view. Unexpectedly, Ken hands over his gun, refusing to fight due to his respect for Harry. Harry, touched by Ken's gesture, admits he can't shoot him. They then argue about Ray's fate, with Harry insisting Ray should have taken his own life for his mistake, while Ken believes in Ray's chance for redemption. Frustrated, Harry shoots Ken in the thigh, a non-fatal wound, as punishment for letting Ray get away. Nevertheless, Harry helps Ken down the tower steps. Meanwhile, Eric sees Chloe and Ray but decides not to join them. Eric informs Harry and Ken at the tower that Ray is back in Bruges. On hearing this, both Harry and Ken draw their guns, Ken to protect Ray and Harry to enforce his mandate. During the conflict, Harry shoots Ken in the neck, causing severe bleeding but not killing him instantly. Harry rushes downstairs, while Ken, despite his serious injury, struggles back to the top, leaving a trail of blood. In a desperate attempt to warn Ray through the fog, Ken drops coins from the tower to grab attention. The commotion catches the attention of onlookers, Ray and Chloe among them. Ken leaps off the tower, meeting a fatal end upon impact. Ray, seeing the fall, hurries to the severely injured Ken, too late realizing it's his friend. Dying, Ken tells Ray that Harry is in Bruges and to take his gun. Ray discovers the gun is broken from the fall and, needing a weapon, asks about Eric's gun. Ken passes away before responding. Harry arrives, finds Ken dead, and sees Ray running. Ray heads to the hotel, thinking the gun is there, pursued by Harry, who fires shots despite the crowd. Reaching the hotel, Ray grabs the room key and tells the pregnant owner to seek safety. He retrieves the gun upstairs and hears the owner confronting Harry downstairs. Touched by her courage, Harry pauses. Ray, worried for her, proposes they move their fight elsewhere. Awkwardly, they agree on a plan by the canal. Ray will jump into it from his room window while Harry aims to shoot him from a bridge. After a tense pause, Ray jumps into a passing boat, believing he's escaped, but Harry hits him in the stomach from the bridge. Wounded, Ray leaves the boat and tries to get away, with Harry chasing him. They enter the movie set where Jimmy's film is being shot, full of actors in strange costumes, creating an eerie setting. When Ray and Jimmy meet, Harry shoots Ray in the back, echoing an earlier moment with the priest. Ray's final words, "a little boy," reflect that tragedy before he reaches Jimmy, who, dressed in a childlike costume, is fatally hit by a stray bullet, his face damaged. Seeing Jimmy in a childlike costume, Harry mistakenly believes he's an actual kid and, following his rigid set of morals, takes his own life. In the closing scene, Chloe shouts in distress as Ray is lifted onto a stretcher and into an ambulance. Ray's narration ponders over concepts of the afterlife, heaven, hell, and purgatory, and he desperately hopes not to die in Bruges. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thanks and see you again soon. Take care.